Are the front lines finally starting to shift in Ukraine's direction? But is Russia letting up in Bakhmut? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. It's May 10th, 2023. This is your daily Ukraine update. Let's get into it. As always, guys, of course, YouTube has been cracking down on my content. They've demonetized some of my daily updates, some of my reactions, even to videos where there's no combat. So if you want to support what I do and get access to those uncensored combat footage breakdowns, you want to go to combatvetnews.com. We have all the news stories I can't get to with almost daily updates. We have all my YouTube videos on there for free. But if you want to become a member to support what I do, it will get you access to the members only content, which I'm running. I had logged out when we made all these changes, but you get access to the uncensored combat footage. That includes, like last week, we looked at Ukrainian sniper operations. These guys using advanced thermal scopes to hunt Russians at night, and it is some wild stuff. Definitely worth checking out. So if you want to support what I do, combatvetnews.com. Okay, let's take a look at the control map. This is where things get interesting. First off, of course, in the last 3 days, you can see there's been some marginal advances by Russian forces, particularly in the northeast corner of the Ukrainian-controlled areas, advancing through this park here. Again, this is just Russia advancing at a very steady rate, relying on its advantages in artillery to just, I think, blast Ukrainian positions and then have their light infantry advance. But that's sort of the predictable part of this. Here's where things get less predictable. One, south of Bakhmut, there is a tract of land where you can see there's been a moderate pushback by Ukrainian forces. You can see on the 7th, right, they controlled this entire up to this forest line here. And now we've seen a significant rollback of Russian forces all the way beyond this forest here. Now, to be clear, nothing in this is particularly significant. At best, this canal that they're fighting for control over, I believe, is actually one of the canals that feeds water to the city of Donetsk. And so it's contested for that reason. You could see as we sort of follow it down, you could see it's actually a canal that at least provides some function all the way down to this near Mayorsk and Horlivka, at least on this map. But it may simply be reflective of Ukrainian forces beginning a push. Now, as I've talked about, right, I am of the belief that actually it's to Ukraine's advantage to launch a large offensive effort near Bakhmut. One, because it's unexpected by Russian forces, right? Second, it allows the freshest Ukrainian troops to engage the best Russian troops. Once you've broken the back of Wagner and the VDV, the rest of the Russian military will be comparatively easy pickings. And of course, right, but that there's no guarantees, right? This could be a standard level of counteroffensive, counterattack. But this is pretty significant, right? It's rare to see this level of control spanning into Ukraine's hands. So I'm intrigued how I would best describe this. But that's not the only place where we're seeing Ukrainian advances. Near the mouth of the Dnipro, you can see here this marshland river delta that defines sort of the Dnieper with Ukrainian-controlled Kherson in the north and the Russian-controlled Kherson province to the south. You can see here that, again, Ukraine making some fairly minor advances. This is a hard place to fight, but it still reflects that Ukrainian forces are pushing. I'm sort of intrigued, again, as to why when this river delta is such a a difficult place to operate at scale. But it's difficult. If it's difficult for the Ukrainians, it's also difficult for the Russians. So what you may see is Ukraine attempting to force a sort of crossing of this delta, or at least to keep Russia from reassigning troops in this Kherson region to support efforts elsewhere. Again, that's, I think, statistically what we're most likely to be seeing right now is fixing operations, baiting Russians to commit their reserves to efforts that may or may not be the offensive. But the goal is to have it look exactly like what we're talking about, which is that Ukraine's offensive efforts are going to be, the shaping operations will be indistinguishable from a proper counteroffensive. And this is exactly what you'd see it look like, a sudden significant change in territory over the course of a day. And then you would see the breakthrough, right, as they break Russian lines, and then exploitation. But again, the shaping operations are supposed to look exactly like the counteroffensive. And either one of these could be indicative of the counteroffensive. But again, let's assume, I think it's fair to assume they're shaping operations until they appear too decisive. Anyway, guys, that is pretty much all I had for today. As always, thank you so much to our lieutenant and colonel tier supporters on combatvetnews.com. I really couldn't do this without you guys. I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.